the next important step, which are your thumbnails. Let's get into it. So there are only two metrics that YouTube really cares about. One is your click-through rate, which is affected by your title and thumbnail, and next is your watch time, okay? So if your click-through rate is high, that means people like your thumbnail and title, and so that means when the algorithm sees that people actually like your thumbnail and your title and are more likely to watch the video from start to finish, it will then show your video to more people, which in turn will get you even more views. So your click-through rate and your watch time play together, right? Click-through rate is the important part because the click-through rate, right, as long as the title and thumbnail is aligned with the actual content of your script, is aligned with your title, then people are much more likely to watch from start to finish, and that way your click-through rate is high, your watch time is high, and then it gets pushed to a wider audience. So there's tons of proofs that thumbnails make a huge difference, right? Just a simple thumbnail switch can really boost your channel. And even Mr. Beast says, right, we typically generate around 50 thumbnail concepts per video. Right now it's more closer to like 100, 200 concepts per video so that he can find the best one. And honestly, a lot of it is done through testing. And this is really a big reason as to why you want to create viral thumbnails, right? With AI, it's because AI can create all of these different thumbnail variations for you just by prompting. You don't need a designer, and really with some of these recent AI developments, it's honestly gotten pretty crazy. And not all attention is equal because you want to attract your ideal customers so that they can buy from you, right? So let's get into some of the theory as to the psychology behind the click, and really understanding some of this psychology will give you a much better idea as to what kind of content that you want to make, what the thumbnail's composition should be. And then when you're prompting it with AI, once again, this is understanding, start with the end in mind, right? Understanding what a good thumbnail is the first step to actually prompting it with AI. So I'm going to give you some of that sauce today. So curiosity gap, right? That's the very first principle, right? What's the gap between what they know and what they want to know, right? And actually bridging that gap from there. And these are the 5 types of thumbnails that work, right? There are much more types of thumbnails, but these I believe are the most relevant to you guys. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. There are a bunch of videos on all these different thumbnail formats too, right? So number 1 is the moment thumbnail, right? So within a thumbnail like this, right, we'll offer a glimpse into the moment right before a reaction, right? There's so much emotion and tension, and it's irresistible because you want to see the reaction, right? And you can see over here, this guy is looking at a bunch of fake shoes, and then it's this guy exclamation mark on top of his head, you know, him wearing a hoodie, right? And then there's the green hoodie that the guy is in, so that actually stands out in the thumbnail a little bit more. And number 2 is the story thumbnail, right? It provokes the question of what happens next, and it builds narrative by choosing a point of tension or a question that sets up the first act of the story. So there's a Ryan Trahan video, right? Taylor Swift want to come to my birthday party, so it's something along the lines of, you know, inviting Ryan to a birthday party, something to do with celebrities, and it's a story thumbnail, right? It's like, hey, what's gonna happen next, right? Which is exactly what this thumbnail provokes. So that is a story thumbnail. And then there's a transformation thumbnail, right? This is usually a before after kind of thumbnail, right? Where it shows the desired result, but also shows the beginning state. So on the left, dopamine, on the right, detox. On the left, dopamine, you have your Doritos, you have your controller, you have your phone, and then on the right, you have the detox, which is the reader. So the more relatable the beginning state, the more effective the thumbnail. And right, the detox side or the transformation side, the more it being the desired outcome, the more likely that this thumbnail is clickable. And number 4 is the novelty thumbnail, right? So we have an urge to experience something that we've never seen before, right? So novelty inspires awe, or novelty is weird and unexpected, right? So a novelty thumbnail is something that people have never seen before, right? And it works best when combined with something that they're already familiar with, right? So this is like a pink ice cream building. And by the way, this pink ice cream building, I can most guarantee you that they did not build this in real life. I can guarantee you that this is actually generated with AI, right? So a lot of the thumbnails that you are already seeing on YouTube that you would most likely click on is already generated with AI. And then bang, over here, the result thumbnail, right? It's show the desired result, right? Whether it's the final product for a cooking video or someone being focused for a productivity video, or how did they do it, right? So this girl over here, right, becomes smarter, bunch of math all around here, right? That is the desired result. And she's also like in motion, right? She's in the moment, in the action. She's actually writing something. So it looks like she's doing something super duper important. That is the result thumbnail. So pattern interrupt elements you can use are proven, you know, by all of these different guys, right? That will make people stop scrolling, right? Faces, right? So Mr. Beast face, Mario face, right? Some character face, any large numbers, or you can see your 10,000 steps a day, right? Anything related to money, like stock market, the line going up over here, and him counting money, actual dollar, physical bills. Danger, right? Is an emotion that you can elicit it. Okay, like people are wondering, hey, what will happen next? Any emotion that people have, like any emotion that they have, any bright colors, right? It's something that can stand out from the YouTube backdrop, and something that's aesthetically pleasing, right? All of these can stop people from scrolling, and you want to have at least one or two of these elements inside your thumbnail. So these are the 3 C's of thumbnail design, right? It's content, composition, and contrast. So content is all of the visual elements. So the people, the icons, graphics, background, text, and it's whatever you need to drive curiosity. So the content is anything that you see here, right? All of the text, all of the people and whatnot. I've just circled all of them here. And then the composition is when it's symmetrical, right? The main character in the center, left and right are similar, and asymmetrical, right? Main character is on the left or right third, right? So over here, this is called the rule of 3, right? Or like the grid lines that you can see over here on the bottom right. I'm not exactly sure of the name, but you can see over here, this is the composition. So like the composition will dictate, right, the visual hierarchy. Hierarchy meaning that you're in a society, right? And then there's the upper class, there's the middle class, and then there's the poor people, right? So if you are able to use composition in your favor, where you can determine the visual hierarchy, it tells you where the eyes should look when you are looking at a given thumbnail. So over here, when you're looking at a thumbnail, right, maybe your eyes, look at the person first, right? And depending on how you shift where the character is, or how you shift the different elements of a thumbnail, that will shift exactly where your eyes move. So you want to think about the composition and what you want your audience to look at first. And then lastly, contrast, right? Guides the eyes, captures attentions by playing with brightness, saturation, or any hue, right? Once again, any contrast that you can create within your thumbnail that stands out from other thumbnails is exactly what you want to be able to play with. And there are so many tools out there right now, and I'm going to show you exactly the process on how to do this, right? Where we always start with a sketch of the thumbnail, even when we're doing it with AI, and then you get the full thumbnail, and then you can refine it from there. Right, so over here on the left is a sketch, right, actually created with AI, and on the right is actual thumbnail that's being created over here. So copy the winners, study, identify patterns, and adapt